Bible study where we are continuing through the Bible. We are now in the book of Exodus. We've already completed Genesis. So Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. And a man of the house of Levi went and took as wife a daughter of Levi. Verse 2. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him 3 months. Verse 3. But when she could no longer hide him, she took an ark of bulrushes for him, daubed it with asphalt and pitch, put the child in it, and laid it in the reeds by the riverbank. So remember, the children of Israel are now in bondage to the Egyptians. Joseph has died. The Pharaoh that Joseph was second to has died. And so now there's a new Pharaoh here. And they are in bondage. And this Pharaoh is bent on killing all of the male children, right? All of the male Hebrew children. And so that's why she hid the child. Verse 4 says, and his sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. Verse 5. Then the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, and her maidens walked along the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it. Verse 6. And when she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. So she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrew children. Verse 7. Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call a nurse for you from the Hebrew women that she may nurse the child for you? Verse 8. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. So the maiden went and called the child's mother. Verse 9. Then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages. So the woman took the child and nursed him. So this child's mother actually got paid for nursing her own child. Verse 10. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So she called his name Moses, saying, because I drew him out of the water. So out of the tribe of Levi comes Moses, the great leader of the Israelites. And he was adopted and raised from the time he was weaned from nursing by Pharaoh's daughter, who is an Egyptian. So he was raised with the king's daughter. Verse 11. Now it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out to his brethren and looked at their burdens. And he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his brethren. Verse 12. So he looked this way and that way. And when he saw no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 Hebrew men were fighting. And he said to the one who did the wrong, why are you striking your companion? Verse 14. Then he said, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? So Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. So what he thought was hidden, right, the day before, it was known. Verse 15. When Pharaoh heard of this matter, he sought to kill Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. So the Midianites, Midian was the son of Abraham and Keturah, and Keturah was Abraham's second wife after Sarah. Verse 16 says, now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and they filled the troughs of water to water their father's flock. Verse 17. Then the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. Verse 18. When they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that you have come so soon today? So Reuel is also known as Jethro and Hobab. And so we'll hear more about him later. Verse 19. And they said, an Egyptian delivered us from the hand of the shepherds, and he also drew enough water for us and watered the flock. So because Moses helped them water the flock, they were able to get done faster. So even though Moses is technically Hebrew, he was raised Egyptian. So I'm assuming that he must have sounded and looked like an Egyptian for them to call him that. Verse 20. So he said to his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that you have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread. Verse 21. Then Moses was content to live with the man, and he gave Zipporah his daughter to Moses. Verse 22. And she bore him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a foreign land. Verse 23. Now it happened in the process of time that the king of Egypt died. Then the children of Israel groaned because of the bondage, and they cried out, and their cry came up to God because of the bondage. Verse 24. So God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Verse 25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God acknowledged them. So what this is telling me, that it is important for a generation or someone in the bloodline to maintain a leader or produce a leader, such as Joseph, that can keep their place in prosperity from generation to generation. So that's one side of it. Because after Joseph dies, that's when the Israelites begin to become enslaved by the Egyptians. And I wonder why they never went back to Canaan, even after the famine, right? It could be because they had grown too big, too large to just, pack up and move. But I wonder why they never went back after the famine. Because at this point, they have been in Egypt at least four generations. So if we look at Moses' bloodline, there was Levi, right, the son of Jacob. And then Levi had Kohath, and Kohath had Amram, and then Amram had Moses. So that's 4 generations. And then also remember in Genesis 15, God told Abraham that his descendants would be strangers in a foreign land for 400 years. But in the 4th generation, they would return back to the land. So this is now the 4th generation. And then also he told Abraham that the Amorites who was in that land of Canaan, the sin had not reached a great enough point where the divine judgment was justified. So there's also the part where he promised them this land, but the sin of the people has not reached a point where God could allow the Israelites to cast them out, right? And so there's always something happening that you are not aware of. And I don't know if they pass this on, if Abraham passed this information on that in the 4th generation they would return back or not. But we do know that they continue to pass on the covenant generation to generation. So that concludes Exodus chapter 2. Please remain with us as we go to, Exodus chapter 2. Please remain with us as we go on to Exodus chapter 3. God bless.